introduce Elias Spreiter from the Ministry of Economics, Transport and Housing in the state of Hessen. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. And Elias has been involved in a partner in the Firespot project. So over to you, Elias.
Yeah, thank you very much, Laura and David, for the introduction. And Gerhard Witsch from the state of Hessen. I hope that the connection is fine so far. I highly appreciate the opportunity to join your webinar, so thank you very much for having me. And our regions are kind of different in a way. For example, the CO2 emissions Mary mentioned before, or the structure of wind energy that your minister mentioned. Because yeah, as you see, we're like in the middle of Germany and have no offshore, for example. But we have the same goals in a way. As mentioned before by David and Kevin, like the United Nations Global Development Goals, like the EU goals, and as Laura mentioned, also in Firespol, for example, where we got some of the best practices running. Yeah, I think we're great partners, therefore, and I enjoyed the visit in your region in 2019, and yeah, I'm glad to have the occasion to cooperate. And I forgot one graphic. That's what I already noticed by our German Federal Weather Service, because it was mentioned before, the topic of how to collaborate like on the European level. Maybe I'll send that graphic later on. It is about how many situations per year we have that we need like re-regulations in our grids due to lack of electricity generation by different sources. And for Germany, for example, it's 23 situations per year when we just rely on onshore wind. So that's pretty much, it's almost a month per year where we have trouble with our electricity generation if you just use wind onshore. If we use wind onshore and offshore, it's 13 days. If we use wind onshore, offshore, and solar power, it's 2 situations per year. And if you look at the situation on the European level, it's 0.2 situations per year. So I think that is the best rationale for our European Energy Union. Let me introduce you to the state of Hesse a little bit, so that you get a picture of the state. We are the most central of the 16 German federal states. We have a specific role in traffic logistics, also in grids and networks, of course. And the area is around 21,000 square kilometers, 6.3 million people, and the share of our renewable gross electricity generation is now 51%. We're kind of proud of that. But regarding the primary energy share, it's just 11.5%. It's the topic is also between like the rural regions and the metropolitan areas. So I'll put a focus on that to make that big differences in kind of way clear. So we have Frankfurt Rhine-Main region with about 5.8 million people, one of the commercial and transportation centers in Europe. Maybe you've used the Frankfurt International Airport. For example, we are a financial center. We have the international airport, and we have the biggest internet node, population density is up to more than 3,000 people per square kilometer. And I'm in the Frankfurt city center right now. It's yeah, really many skyscrapers and stuff. The rural regions in Hesse is more than 400 municipalities with 190 having town privilege, but they're still pretty small in the most cases. We have 21 counties in 3 different administrative regions. Frankfurt, where I am, is in the very south. We only have 5 cities with more than 100,000 people, and yeah, population density in some areas in Hesse is down to 72 people per square kilometer. Yeah, regarding electricity generation, as you see, unfortunately, it's out of our monitoring report, so the graphic is in German, but I translate it to you live. The green one is renewables, of course. The purple one is nuclear power, black is coal, and yellow is gas, and gray is others. So as you see, our share of renewables is rising every year, and that is the effect of our, let's say, very ambitious energy policy that we've grown. Nuclear power, we have a shut off in Hesse, in the state of Hesse, and soon in entire Germany, fortunately. And the share of coal and gas is also yeah, kind of going down or staying at the same level. But the problem is, as you see here, the renewable share at the primary energy consumption is still pretty low. It's rising, it's constantly rising, but it's still pretty low. Here the blackish striped ones is coal, blue is oil, mineral oil, yellow is gas. Yeah, nuclear is shut down, as I told you, in the purple color, and green renewables. The light blue is import, and gray is others. So the problem is why we still have that high share of oil. Traffic is our most consuming sector in Hessen. More than 50% of our entire primary energy consumption is traffic, because we're in the middle. I mentioned that before, that we are pretty central. We have a central railway station, which is pretty important for entire Europe. We have that international airport. Almost a quarter of our entire primary energy in the state of Hesse is just for airplanes. Imagine that. So we have like more yeah, jet fuel than electricity in our entire state. That makes it kind of pretty special to just yeah, put that on the map. But it's rising, and we now have a research center for renewable jet fuels, which started 1 year ago. So we're, yeah, pretty ambitious about this sectors too. Yeah, now to some examples. Laura already mentioned it before. You can hold an entire webinar just of one single topic or financial mechanism. So I'm not trying to yeah, explain it completely to you and every single one. The message is to give you an example, and since we have a recording of this webinar, you also can yeah, look it up later on, or please don't hesitate to contact me if there are any questions. Yeah, savings bond as a participating model for renewable energy source projects. That is one of the let's say, columns of our energy policy in Hesse, since we are totally convinced that participation is the key to acceptance, and our government is has a big focus on acceptance of renewable energy measures, and so we try to give people the possibility to participate and to get a comprehension of what's going on and how the projects are running. This one, for example, I think Laura mentioned that ratios before in the financing model. We have 20% by equity, and the equity was contributed by citizens and the municipality, which is one of that small towns I mentioned before, and 80% was provided by the savings bank. Those savings banks are pretty special in Germany, I guess, because they kind of semi-state banks, so they have like an official task to fulfill to serve the people and the region, and so they are often involved in projects like this. You see the resources needed and the evidence of success. That was one of the pretty early projects we had, with a good outcome eventually. And you see the lessons learned, nature conservation and species protection issues arise. So it's also like a counterflow. You need to participate people to grow acceptance, but when they are participating, they also get an understanding of what's happening, and also put more maybe emphasis on climate change entirely. The other one is Citizen Solar Power Station by the Solar Initiative, which is also one of the best practices from our state. So the solar engine owners operate solar stations together on external roofs, so not on their own, and they invest in infrastructures of that solar power stations, and the association made by regular citizens mostly is taking care about leasing the roofs, planning, procurement, and all that stuff. So all that administrative stuff is like handled with experience and not needing the citizens' involvement. So the acceptance is pretty high, and as you see in the evidence of success, we now have more than 250 successfully implemented projects, and I think that's kind of speaking for itself, but it's also pretty impressive for a very local initiative that has grown by just a bunch of people at the very beginning. Another one is on a pretty high level, actually, by the company Aber Wind AG, which is also on the stock exchange. You can buy shares of this company, but they also made shares called Citizen Wind shares to allow participation in wind parks that is grown by a commercial company such as Abo. And Abo has several wind parks and also other projects, I think in biomass and solar parks and stuff, but the main topic is still wind, as their name already says. For example, France, Germany, also in Ireland, I remember when I've been to Waterford in 2019, we also had a partner from Abo Wind, who is one of the stakeholders in Pole. Yeah, so more than 5,000 shareholders already bought shares of the Abo Invest. I think meanwhile it's called Clearwise, but so they collect equity for renewable energy source projects and enable the further implementation. And I think it's still like pretty much in the beginning of that, I'd call it movement, actually. In Germany, we have that saying the energy democracy, or as mentioned before by Marie and Laura, is nothing less than the fourth industrial revolution. So I think we can call it movement at that level. Yeah, the next one is again pretty local, but in cooperation with a commercial company, Better Rest, maybe that is kind of well known also in Ireland, crowdfunding for a renewable energy source project. And we had limited equity capital, and it was about one special building at the beginning, and they tried to raise equity, and the investments were starting from 50 euro. So that is, I think, a pretty cool example, because almost everybody has the chance to invest and to be part of it, and therefore also raise acceptance and comprehension of such projects. And meanwhile, they also have some more projects, and even we now have one that is called Africa Green Tech, for example, that is kind of tied to Better Rest, which are running solar and storage power plants in Africa, but developed in Germany together with African shareholders and stakeholders. Yeah. Average rate of return, I think, is pretty interesting in that evidence of success. That is also a good ratio, I think. Last one I think is the Sun North Hesse, local financing and involvement of private capital. We have municipal utilities, so mainly energy suppliers from northern Hesse, which are equal partners to the Sun. It's Stadtwerke Union, so it's like Municipal Utilities Union, North Hesse, with 74.9% of the shares going to local citizen energy cooperatives, and this is in their codex. And they meanwhile they have a lot of examples. I won't go in depth at this point, but as you see at the sold shares, it's a lot of effect. Pretty similar with the savings bank in Darmstadt. So also in the south of Hesse, we are again at that savings bank, and they have that official task to fulfill to serve the people and the region. And so they also made, as you see in the example, about 1 million euro for common welfare projects. And they also have their own foundation, which also spends money. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. And